My oh my, welcome everyone to the Way Out Recovery Hour. We are back for what is our inaugural show. However, we did a special broadcast a couple of weeks ago, and I hope everybody tuned in for that. My name is Bob Sharits. I'm with the Way Out Recovery program. We are a brand new treatment center outpatient for adolescents and adults. We just opened in Santa Clarita. Our aim is to help anybody who needs help. So today, and this show really, and all of these shows to come, are really about us reaching an audience or people that are listening out there that may have a loved one who needs help, may themselves need help. So those of you that are tuning in, please, please, please understand that the reason that we do this is because we want you to hear that there is help available for you and that we are just a phone call away, and if not us, somebody else. Our phone number while I'm up there is 661-296-4444. No, us. Go. I'm like, wait a minute. I know the phone number.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I know the forms.
Yeah. So once again, 661-296-4444. Pretty easy to remember. The wayoutrocoveryscv.com. Again, if not us, reach out to somebody. Reach out to somebody.
Absolutely.
Your person at your church, the sheriffs, your teacher, your family members, your friends, just ask for the help that you need or that you need for your loved ones. We have a really, really rocking show today. It is our inaugural show, just like I said, and I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the Way Out Recovery. Again, we're a brand new program, and this has been in the works. Really, the idea of this outpatient treatment center started as a conversation in a living room between Brenda Way, myself, and Mark Berman. And we said, wouldn't it be great if, right? Like that was the conversation. Wouldn't it be great if? Because all of us had been around the world of recovery long enough to see that although there is help available, that too many people are not able to recover. And we want to make a difference in that. We want to provide a different treatment. We want to provide the best that we possibly can. We want to be inviting to the community of Santa Clarita. We want people to feel comfortable in our treatment centers. And so we started that conversation, I guess it was probably 5 years ago.
About 5.
And ongoing, we would bring that up again because we all know each other and we have dinners together and we end up in each other's living rooms and stuff. And it just so happened, like it oftentimes does, that on the heels of a tragedy, that sometimes good can come out of that, And I don't know if what anybody's belief is. But I was told one time that in the world of the spirit, or in God's world, if you will, that nothing is wasted. Nothing, absolutely nothing is wasted. And so sometimes in the midst of tragedy, there can be beautiful things that are born. Tragedy brings people together. And so the Berman family had lost one of their family members. It was a tragic loss due to alcoholism and addiction. And Linda is the name of the lady who lost her life. And in the aftermath of that, the Berman family started talking about what would her legacy be. In studio with us today, we have Mark Berman, but he's over there on the side, kind of outside of the studio, so we're not going to grab him.
Keeping a low profile.
He's keeping a low profile, that's right. But we have, so Mark Berman and Teresa Berman and Brooke Berman and Brittany Berman all started having this conversation in their living room, which said, what are we going to do so that Linda Shin's name doesn't die and that so nobody has to have the tragic circumstances that she faced because of her own addiction. And so in studio with us today is Brittany Berman.
Hi, Bob. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So when did that conversation start for you guys? And what is sort of the transformation to bring us to where we're sitting here today?
The conversation happened around maybe a year ago. And we all kind of came together. We sat down in the living room and just thought, our aunt gave us so much and she left us with so much. But what can we do in her honor and kind of help someone else, since we weren't able to help her? And so with you guys having this idea, we just thought, why don't we come together and open up the Way Out Recovery in dedication to her? Like I said, with the hopes of helping someone else. We couldn't save her, but maybe we can help someone else.
Certainly we are helping other people. And you guys, there's a thing that happens when opportunity meets desire. And those things oftentimes cross, and I think in our lives we miss that because we're not aware of what's going on. And all of us were very aware of those two things coming together at the time. I noticed there was some emotion coming up for you right now when you were talking about Linda. You very close to her?
Yes.
Yeah.
We all were.
Yeah, and it's never easy to lose somebody, and I don't know that it's any more or less difficult when it's in the world of addiction, but certainly there is a tremendous amount of suffering that goes along with somebody who's drinking and using, and you watch a person go downhill and downhill, and you try every effort to save them, and in the end, it may be not enough.
Right, and I think what's hardest for me is just thinking about what if she had gotten that help. What if she had gotten that help she needed? She would have still been here today with us.
Right. So I think thank you from my end is probably the most appropriate thing to say, because the Berman family has just been tremendous. That conversation, born on that conversation, Mark had recalled the conversations that he and I and Brenda were having inside of our dear friend Jack's living room, and said, hey, I know a guy who might be able to make this happen with us. And Mark approached me, it was about a year ago. We started having serious conversations about what's this going to look like. And in the last, I don't know if there's anybody out there who's ever put a business together.
It's a lot of work.
But we've been working our tails off, and it has been such a wonderful journey, because other than Mark, I didn't know you guys very well. And especially over the last couple of months here, we've gotten to have some really, really nice talks, and always in the spirit of how can we help? Mm-hmm. Always in the spirit of how can we help? And the Way Out Recovery is born on that question right there. How can we help? And you guys have been tremendous in answering the questions that I had, because I have fears about doing this that sound like, okay, it is a business, right? And how do you never, ever mix the need to make money to keep that business going with doing the right thing ethically to help somebody who walks through your door?
It's a fine line.
It is a very fine line, right? So it was beautiful when I posed that question. I really believe in transparency, and you guys do too, and everything in the starting and the conversations and the ongoing of this treatment center has been very transparent. Let's put everything on the table, so there's no questions that aren't asked. So in the spirit of that, we're able to ask any question that we want, right? And you guys have allowed me to seek out, Brenda is our clinical supervisor, and we'll get to Brenda in a few minutes, but to seek out who I feel is the best in the profession, the absolute best, because she's been out there helping people. And to say that let Brenda and I and the staff over here have absolute clinical say-so, and you guys are the business end of it and have absolute business say-so, and those worlds will mix. But if we keep that going, and you guys have been,
and we are so grateful for both of you. All of us are
Mutual.
And I know my Aunt Linda would be so proud of what we're doing.
Yeah. I remember a moment that we had when we went over and looked at a location. So we're located at the corner of Plum and Bouquet, Anybody in Santa Clarita is familiar with that. There's let's see what's over there. Vincenzo's, La Casina, 7-Eleven. We're on the very end, on the same side as 7-Eleven, right next to Cloud9 Vape. And when we went over there and started looking at locations, I remember we were very excited. We're going to get this location, and we held hands. The entire family held hands with me, and we got to say a prayer. And in that prayer was the belief that we are always going to do our best, never to let it be anything other than how can we be helpful to the community of Santa Clarita. And when we expand,
When.
right? Everybody picked up on that. When we're talking about the pains of expansion, other communities outside of Santa Clarita. But right now, here we are. So thank you is the best thing I can say, Brittany.
Thank you. Thank you. We couldn't have done this without you.
All right. Before we jump further into the show, anything else you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. Thank you for being with us this morning. I know it takes a lot. It takes a lot for somebody to come on a show like this. Alex Urbina's with us. And go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say there's so many families who deal with this. And so I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
well, thank you.
We're hoping to help another family because we were truly affected by the loss of my aunt.
Yeah.
So.
And we want to be available. One of the things that I have learned, I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've been a professional in the addiction world, and I've worked with many, many, many different families and a lot of different organizations. And one of the things that I have realized is that there are more people that need help than any of us will ever be able to help. That is absolutely the truth. You can look at the numbers. You can look at the numbers. That's not just here in Santa Clarita, that's everywhere. And there could be 10 treatment centers that open today in Santa Clarita, and all of us would still not be enough to help all the people that need it. That is absolutely the truth. And it really coincides with things that I read on. I'm a regular reader of Alex Urbina's Facebook page and the stuff that you post. And one of the things that I grabbed hold of a couple of weeks ago was you made a statement that said that we live in a world of abundance and that we need to stop looking at things like there's only enough for me. And
yeah, absolutely. And not to mention that even if 10 facilities or 10 organizations were here to help, you got to remember, just like schools, not every school is for every person.
Yes.
Not every spiritual center is for every person. Not every life coach is for every person. So we got to find our tribes, and we got to figure out and decide that as professionals, we're going to decide what our tribe is. We're going to flash our light, and we're going to say, we're here, and if you want and you're part of our tribe, or you want to be a part of what we're up to, you're welcome. And so I think there's enough for everybody.
Yes, yeah. I agree. So in the spirit of that, we're going to be working a lot together. We're going to have a lot of the same crossover. Brenda and I have already had that for years because Brenda's a marriage and family therapist who's been working with individuals for a while now, right, Brenda?
Yeah, about 5 years.
So I have in the different organizations that I have worked for, I have sent many, many referrals Brenda's way and vice versa. And so we're going to continue to do that. And that is part of the I don't want to say cure, but certainly a treatment, certainly the healing. That part of that is for us to collaborate with all the different organizations that are in town. And so as this show goes on week after week, what you'll start to hear is all those different organizations on this show, because we really want to highlight all the resources. Just like Alex said, there's not a perfect fit for everybody. And most of us, including myself, I'm in recovery, and when I started that process, it took multiple organizations for my multiple issues to be able to help me and get me pointed in the right direction, and I'm grateful to everybody that helped me.
I think a lot of it probably as well is feeling safe. So you can walk into a place and you can feel like, man, I feel like I'm at home. Or you can walk into another place and feel like you're an outsider. So it's more about the context and the vibe and the people and their heart and their love and, all the welcomeness. And you got to remember, we're beings of energy. So, and you guys are shining your light right now and you're passionate. And so that's attractive to certain people, and certain people need that. So I'm excited for you guys.
I agree.
Thanks.
I agree.
It's so true.
So a little bit about the treatment center and how we're different and what we're offering, just to make sure everybody understands. We treat teens, we treat adults, and we treat families. So it's just about everybody. One of the philosophies that we have trained all of our staff in is to understand that no matter who it is, anybody who walks through the door is going to get some sort of help before they leave there. Whether it's with us or somebody else, we're going to sit down with everybody who walks through the door. And if we have to spend all day long on a computer with somebody finding the right fit for exactly what they need, then that's what we'll do. Everybody's going to get served walking through the door. And one of the things that we really, really believe in is a compassionate, non-punitive treatment approach. Just like you were saying, Alex, we want everybody who walks through the door to feel safe. Come on in, have a seat, take a breath. Some people just need a hug. Let's get a hug and sit down, and let's just sit down.
I think that starting point is very important. It's a very critical moment. And what's cool about you guys and having that process, I've worked with you before, and I've seen you in your element, and you've been on the front lines working with families on the very first day when it's the toughest. So, my money's on you, Bob. You really know your stuff, and when you say the words that when you walk through those doors, we're going to find help for you, I know that you know so much about all the different programs out there. There's no doubt in my mind that people are going to be served when they come in, whether it's like you said with you guys or with someone else. You're going to turn yourself inside out to make sure someone gets served. Yeah.
So let's break down today's show in a couple of different categories. Both of you, Brenda Way, MFT, and Alex Urbina, life coach, are both highly sought professionals in your own arenas. There's a lot of crossover in what we do, and there's a lot of mutual clients that we may have. But I want to talk today about different methods of treatment and different people that we are going to serve. I want to start by talking about teens. I want to go into talking about adults. There's a big difference between those two populations and how we treat them. And I want to talk about families specifically and the work that we do in those three different arenas, which there's a lot of different crossovers. So one of the questions that I want, first let's do this. Before we take a break in 2 minutes or less.
No pressure.
No pressure. Brenda, introduce yourself, because I'll just mess it up if I try to give your credentials and all of your wonderfulness. So give us your wonderfulness.
My wonderfulness. I am Brenda Way. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist. I have been licensed for 2 years. The previous 3, I was an intern. And prior to that, since 2006, I've been in the field of mental health, first as a substance abuse counselor. I'm also a certified addiction treatment counselor.
So you have both.
I have both, which gives me a unique perspective, because a lot of the people in the marriage family therapy field, we get a semester or a quarter, as the case may be, for substance abuse. And I had 3 years of training in it.
Prior
to licensure.
Yeah, Brenda and I, so a little personal back history on that. Brenda and I were talking about school at the same time, and she beat me to the punch. But we ended
by
up
a semester.
We ended up both at the same place around the same time span, Pierce College, in their addiction studies program, in one of the finest in the world, really, addiction studies programs, run by a man named Dr. James Crossan. Rest in peace. He's no longer with us. Yeah. It has touched so many. And
I think it's fair to say it gave both of us that foundation of how can we help. This isn't about my needs. What are yours, and how can I help?
About the needs of the client, right? And it's funny because I think I've heard Alex talk about emulating people that we aspire to be, right? And Dr. Crossan, I try my very best. Nobody can be Dr. Crossan.
No,
nobody can be this guy, right? And anybody who's ever had an interaction with him has been left with like, whoa, I have just had a meeting with that guy.
Yeah.
right? And I have spent all these years really, really trying to emulate just the grandness of that guy right there. And I'm so proud to say that the both of us were trained by that man.
Me too.
You know, many other
That's awesome.
professors,
Yeah.
but he was running that program, and we got to experience that.
He
and
really
just-
was the embodiment of generosity and giving and altruism, truly.
Right. And so rather than press for time, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get to a break right now. When we come back, we're going to hear the awesomeness and the wonderfulness of Alex Urbina. This is the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and we will be right back.